Hello everyone, and welcome to my study. Thank you for inviting me into your home for this online assembly. These are very strange times, aren't they? I'm sure you're missing seeing your friends at school, and missing too all the things that you'd normally be doing if you were there together. It's very different when we're trying to learn at home. Some of you may have quiet places in your house where you can go and do your studies. Try and concentrate on what you're doing. But some of you may be sharing a laptop or a tablet with your sisters or your brothers. Then it's a bit more difficult, isn't it? And some of you at home might have younger sisters or brothers who just want you to play with them now you're there all the time. They don't understand that you're supposed to be doing some work. And perhaps you have a dog or a cat that thinks now you're at home, you can make a fuss of them all the time as well. Sometimes, when everybody's at home and we're all a bit on top of each other, it's very easy for us to get a bit irritable with one another, those around us. And when that happens, sometimes we're not quite as kind to people as we would normally hope to be. So I'd like to read you today a story, one of the stories that Jesus told to the people who gathered around him, who wanted to hear what he had to say about kindness. In the book I'm going to read from, the story is called The Kind Stranger, but we often call it the story of the Good Samaritan. This story then is called The Kind Stranger, and we're going to listen to it, and as I read it there are three places where there needs to be some crowd participation. So I'm going to hold up some cards, just like this, and I'd like you to shout out the words that are on the card. You can be the crowd. Jesus was teaching one day when a man in the crowd asked him a question. "Can you tell me, Jesus, what I have to do to live forever?" Jesus smiled. "Love God," he answered, "and love your neighbour as much as you love yourself." "But who is my neighbour?" asked the man, hoping to trick Jesus. "Is he just the fellow who lives next door?" "Let me tell you a story," Jesus said, "and then I think you will understand. Once upon a time there was a man like any one of us, who was travelling from Jerusalem to Jericho. Now, as you all know, that's a very dangerous road. It's twisty, it's steep, and there's no end of places for robbers and thieves to hide. Well, the robbers were waiting that day, and they grabbed the man, and they beat him, and they took the money, and they left him to die. "Oh dear," said the crowd. They felt sorry for the man. Jesus went on with his story. In a little while, another man came walking down that road. A priest, on his way home from worshipping God in the temple. He saw the dying man. And what do you think he did? "He helped him," shouted someone in the crowd. "He saved him," said another. "No," said Jesus firmly, "he did not. He took one look at that poor man and then crossed to the other side of the road and walked away. "Oh my," the crowd murmured. "Wait," said Jesus. Soon another man passed by. He served God at the temple too. So what do you think this man did when he saw the wounded traveller? "He ran for help," shouted someone. "He raised the alarm," cried another. "No," said Jesus, "he did not. Just like the priest, he crossed to the other side of the road and left that poor man to die." "Oh no," the crowd sighed. "Don't worry," said Jesus, "for there was one more man who passed by that day, and he was a Samaritan." "A Samaritan?" shouted someone. "They're different from us." "We hate Samaritans," shouted another. "And they hate us," shouted a third. "So I've heard," nodded Jesus. "But when this Samaritan saw the man, he did not walk away. No, he bandaged his wounds, he loaded him on his donkey, he took him to a nearby inn, and he paid for that man to stay there until he was well." Jesus looked at the man who had asked him the question. "So tell me," he said, "which of these men was a neighbour to the man who had been robbed?" "The third one, the Samaritan," the man answered. "That's right," Jesus smiled, "because my neighbour is anyone who needs my help. Now you go and help your neighbour too." There's a lot of kindness being shown to other people at the moment. Doctors and nurses looking after people who are very poorly, either in their own homes or in hospital. People offering support and encouragement to others who are finding life very difficult in these strange days. Perhaps you stood on your doorstep and clapped or banged saucepan lids or something together to say a big thank you to all those people who are showing kindness and help to others at the moment. When we're at home, it's not so easy to show kindness to our friends in the same way that we can when we're at school. Perhaps, though, you can at least occasionally phone them or see them on FaceTime and say hello to them. Ask them how they're doing. Actually, I guess that when we're at home, the people we really need to think about showing kindness to are those around us. Even if perhaps they annoy us sometimes, we have to remember that they probably think we're annoying as well. They may not be strangers, as the Samaritan was to the man who was beaten and robbed, but that doesn't matter. As Jesus said, our neighbours are anyone who needs our help. Thank you for listening, and we're going to finish by singing together, "Make me a channel of your peace."
This is a rather lovely hymn called "Make Me a Channel of Your Peace." It's based on a prayer by St. Francis of Assisi.